Now, you know what? I can already tell that we're going to have a fun time together. But we got to pay the bills around here. So
Okay.
we got to pause right now for words from our sponsor. Kim Richardson here with Micro Business News Network, and we are sitting here with the Republican candidate for Cook County Board President, Mr. Roger Keats, and we are getting into some interesting information. He just got finished sharing with us his personal philosophy as a man, and I was saying to him how impressed I was with his military background, because I think that makes him, when he's making policy concerning such a large faction of the American public, you know, he has some kind of insight on that. And he also shared with us his political philosophy as a candidate. And now I want to go into a little bit more specifics. We were, you know, I think we kind of get who you are right now. But now let's get down to business, because we got to look at you as a candidate. Cook County Board President. Talk to me about Cook County. What's special about it? Why should I even care?
Cook County is the nation's second largest county. Mm-hmm. We're bigger than states like Wisconsin, Minnesota, Maryland, almost 6 million residents. And what makes the county important is we are the social service provider for so many of the citizens. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we do. We don't have a constitution where we get into big, you know, international issues or stuff. Mm-hmm. We are the ones who 1/3 of our entire budget is health care. 1/2 of the entire budget is what they call public correction, mm-hmm. which is the jails, the prosecutors, the judges, the public defenders, et cetera, and the juvenile detention facility. So that's 80% of the entire budget, and then the entire rest of the county services fit in that other 20%. But that is what we do, and what makes it important is for those who need government help, we're the ones who really are the front line.
Okay. So am I to assume that this coveted position of president of Cook County Board is really, as far as local politics, the highest that you can go?
Well, Illinois is a unique state. You know,
mm-hmm.
the mayor of Chicago is really kind of the dominant figure in Illinois. It doesn't really matter who the governor is,
okay.
regardless of party.
Okay.
But you know, last I checked, Chicago was still part of Cook County.
Yes.
But our problem right now is because the city of Chicago, the county of Cook, the state of Illinois, and as we all know, the federal government has $1.5 trillion budget deficit. Mm-hmm. Our economic status right now is being shaken to the very core. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have an unemployment rate of just under 10%, and the underemployment rate is closer to 20%. And there are neighborhoods in Chicago where when you go out and some of the south and west side neighborhoods where the adult unemployment rate is over 30%, wow. and the teenage unemployment rate is well north of 50%. We cannot, as a nation, survive very long right. when people simply have no opportunity to better themselves. And that's where Cook County government can be so helpful, because the state of Illinois and Cook County government in particular have driven private sector jobs out just like water going over Niagara Falls. We have less jobs today, and I use this analogy. The state of Texas last week produced more new jobs than Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio added together in the last 20 years. Texas in 1 week produced more jobs than we have in 20 years.
That's tragic. Can you pause just a moment? Mm-hmm. Why are we losing jobs like this?
Our taxes are outrageous. Our school systems, particularly in the city, are not particularly good. The regulatory bodies are a total pain in the neck to deal with. And our corruption tax, we are the most corrupt state in the country. There's no competitor. Let me give you an example. 5 of our last 8 elected governors have been indicted. That's more than the other 49 states added together. We sent over 100 judges and lawyers to jail during Operation Greylord, which is something I was very active in cleaning up. That was more than the other 49 states added together. And according to the Chicago Tribune, we sent over 1,000 city, county, and state employees to jail. That's more than the other 49 states added together.
And we're talking about elected officials. We're not even talking about Joe Blow.
Well, not of the thousands. Some of those were elected. But just in the time I've been inactive in public service, elected to legislature and whatever, we sent over 30-some aldermen, judges, legislators. The level of corruption, the culture of corruption, the total lack of accountability, the total respect for the hard-pressed, hard-working private sector taxpayer is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just look at the state party chairman of the Democrat Party makes several $1 million a year, And in the last 4 years, it shifted $1 billion of property tax assessments from his clients to the average homeowner. No one says a word, other than the New York Times. The New York Times is the one who's going after the corruption in our property tax system. We cannot continue like this. You cannot continue to raise taxes on a declining tax base, because all you do is sharpen the spiral going down. We need to revitalize the city, the county, the state. We were one of the economic colossi of the world. Now we're slowly moving towards being a basket case.
Oh my goodness. Now, I'm thinking to myself, the problem at this point is the fact that it's considered a dysfunctional relic.
Oh.
So, how would you address this dysfunction?
Well, Cook County is clearly a dysfunctional 19th century relic. We have not looked at the county's structure. 50, 75 years minimum, could be over 100. No one can figure out the last time we really took a serious look at the county. And the secret to it is, even though I may be the Republican candidate, I remind people I don't run as a Republican. I run as a guy who sees problems and puts together bipartisan, multiracial solutions to them. And this is a perfect example. Some great ideas to repair Cook County's system. Come from a guy named Mike Quigley. He's now a congressman, was a former county board member. He put together about 5, 6 years ago a concept to reorganize Cook County government. He got the help from a lot of outsiders and whatever. And I think it's a tremendous roadmap. People say, oh, well, he's a Democrat. So what? So what?
Right.
I'm president of the county board. I don't remember any party label under president of the county board.
Right.
And so if it's Quigley's ideas, it's okay. I'll plagiarize his ideas. It's an excellent source to work from. Something else that helps us deal with it is a report done by the University of Illinois, Chicago, and the Better Government Association on corruption in Cook County and what's going on with our assessor's office. Guys, the average property tax assessment in Cook County is off by 300%. Average. And that's compared to the rest of the counties in the state. You think of yourself, in your job, if you were on average wrong by 300% every day, how long would you be employed? County assessor, on average, is wrong 300%. Now,
That's
these
scary.
are the issues, and then so many people have gone to jail because of the corruption up around the assessor's office, et cetera. We need to deal with these dysfunctional problems. We have 4 different county agencies who deal with the property taxes. No wonder the system's a mess. You have 4 different elected officials fighting for power over your property taxes. It's just stupid, just stupid.
So if we're, okay, now, I mean, patently aware of the dysfunction, what is going to be your solution under your presidency? What would be the solution?
Well, number one, we have got to lower, when I say the partisanship, on the Cook County Board, you have to understand the partisanship is not Republican-Democrat. It's these various factions, and within the Democrats are 3 different Democrat factions. If there's one thing I've proven in 30-plus years, is I put together bipartisan solutions. When you think back to Harold Washington, when Harold was mayor, I worked with Harold. I was in the Senate so long ago. Both Rich Daley and Harold Washington were state senators with me. And Harold would have said probably his biggest legislative accomplishment in Springfield was a bill I sponsored when we redid the RTA. You know about green jobs. Talk mass transit. That's a green job. And the system was bankrupt, poorly run. It was a disaster. I spent 2.5 years trying to repair it. Jane Byrne was mayor. Couldn't get anything done. You know, you hear the stories that Jane Byrne was hard to work with. She was impossible to work with. Both parties. And so then when Harold became mayor, so then Harold and I, being old friends, he called me up, we talked it over, decided a few things we had to amend here and there, and then without support from the leadership of either party, we put that together, and then eventually the leadership came along. As you may remember, when Harold was first elected, they had something called council wars in the city council. It was, frankly, the white Democrats attacking Harold.
Absolutely.
And so when he would come to Springfield, he would have to rely on people like me to help organize what he needed to do down there, because then embarrass the Democrats in Springfield, saying, well, wait a minute, we can't have Harold passing bills on Republican votes. So then they'd have to line up some of their people too. And so Harold was able to bring the Democrats on board. Originally, they didn't like the idea, but then once they realized I probably had the votes to beat him anyway, then they came on board, and as Harold would remind you, of course, unfortunately passed away before the whole time, but think back to the 80s and 90s when the RTA ran so well and wasn't broke, and the system worked, and everybody got paid. And then, of course, Rod Blagojevich got elected governor, and frankly made a mess out of the whole system and changed all the stuff we've done.
It is what it is.
Exactly. But see, that's, if you've got someone who's committed to working in a bipartisan, multiracial atmosphere, just like we have in Cook County. You can get things done. You can reshape the county. And my agenda isn't based on the fact I got family members that I got to hire, or I'm a leader of a party group who have to hire patronage workers. I don't have that problem. I don't have a party position, and I don't have a single relative who wants to be on the payroll. So from that angle, I don't have my hands tied.
That helps. That helps. No one sitting out vying for a contract or anything.
Exactly.
That helps. I really would like to see for American politics to abandon some of all of the tradition and the philosophies of their party, and let's get down to the business of trying to save people's lives. This is, and see, and don't get me wrong, I do understand about the checks and balances between the political parties. I do understand the democratic process. But how, up under your leadership, can you inspire your constituents to say, listen, guys, let's get rid of all this garbage. Let's get down to business here.
And remind them, we're all in this together. I've got to be more public. Unfortunately, the last few presidents of the county board, Todd Schroeder and his dad, nothing against him personally, but neither one was the kind of person who could get out in front of an audience and inspire interest in what they were doing.
Okay.
And then John Schroeder's predecessor, since he spent 4 years trying to run for governor and president, truthfully, he couldn't have cared less about being president of the county board. Before that, George Dunn was a pretty good county board president, decent guy. George was not someone who ever voluntarily got in front of a TV camera. And so people have no comprehension. This is a $3.5 billion budget, almost 23,000 employees, the largest consolidated public health care system in the country, the largest consolidated correctional system in the country, the largest consolidated court system in the country. This is big time. Cook County government, if it were a state, is one of the largest states in the country. We've got to wake up to this sort of thing. I can go out, I'll hold public meetings, I'll hold regular public meetings around the county, tell people what we're doing. I will hold press conference. If you think back, how many presidents of the county board ever held press conferences? So we can announce it, we can let people ask questions about it. I will talk about visibility. We'll put everything online. Now the county's trying to do it right now. They haven't succeeded yet. But we'll get the checkbook online. We'll get all the bills online. You know, right now they do have their own TV station. A lot of people don't know this. You can see the county board meetings online 2 days late. In fact, that's how I watch it, because if I go downtown, there's too much trouble, you know, people want to ask you questions.
Getting there.
But I watch it on TV, because then I can do other things while I'm doing it too, so I double use the time. What I'm saying is, I will raise the visibility, because people have to understand, out in the suburbs where I live, you know, if it weren't for the Forest Preserve District, most people in the suburbs couldn't care less if Cook County government went away.
Absolutely.
But when you deal with our healthcare system, you can't let Cook, these are desperately needed social services,